It's so important. Are we on?
We're on.
Cupcakes. I don't get the cupcakes. When I have a cake, I like to have a cake.
Yeah.
And
I've had the, they call it a smash. They take the cupcake and they cut it in half. The bottom of the cupcake in a cup, 2 scoops of ice cream, and the top of the cupcake on top.
so they smash the cupcake into the ice cream.
Smash cake. Oh, that sounds good.
Well, did you notice last week's our podcast last week was marked by YouTube? Did you notice? Well, apparently in our title last week we had. You remember what the title was last week? Something about the elections.
2020 election results. Just kidding.
I think that was it. That's it. 2020 election results. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Well, apparently that sets off an algorithm in YouTube, and they put a couple of qualifier statements underneath the title that you could select their little qualifier buttons, and it would go off on how the election was not manipulated and that the results were what they were, and I said, well, look at that, we were hit by an algorithm that wanted to basically keep people from listening to what we had to say.
Or
you're going to be independent and fair. You're going to say they just
gonna
get
say
it so that
they
they get a 360-degree viewing of the entire process.
Yeah, but it's almost like it would be important if it wasn't an algorithm and it was a person. So if it was a person that watched our show and said, wait a second, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about.
See, that proves it's an algorithm, because who would think that?
I know. And that's the thing. The computer caught it, and yeah, if you put in a word, it'll pop up. It's like your is that a genome project? There's something computery.
I thought the Genome Project was dealing with our DNA and what your DNA markers are.
You're right. I'm wrong. But there's something about a computer where you can do it.
Word.
You can do it enough, and then it learns not your DNA, but your wants and likes and
so like when you do the YouTube searches, and that says, okay, I'm gonna.
And it says, here's the suggested. If you watch the
that's probably another algorithm.
Yeah, it is, because you watch the Social Dilemma. Did you watch that?
No. Was it that right up there with what was that band you spoke about last week? Rage of something?
Raging?
Yeah, the Raging.
That's a party. It's called a party.
Oh.
A Rager. No, Social Dilemma is the tech monopoly that's going on behind closed doors, that you don't see the fact that whenever you've got a smart device and you're utilizing that smart device, it's actually creating a shadow image of you and your interests, and it knows when you're looking at the camera, it knows when you're looking at the screen, it knows how long you stay on screen. So whenever, let's say you have downtime where you're like, I'm going to put my phone up. This is what they showed in the spoiler alert in the show. You put your phone down and you're not going to watch
This is a movie?
It's a
television.
It's a docudrama.
A docudrama.
So it's a documentary.
Delicious. I can see why you watched it.
With some drama.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. People that are over the age of 38 probably watch this and think, well, yeah, I can see how somebody would get addicted to a computer in their pocket. Who doesn't? But anybody under the age of 38 that hasn't had life without a computer in their pocket probably doesn't realize how connected and how they don't realize the negative effects of having something like that. Although there are many positive effects, because I'm a lot smarter with my phone than I am without my phone, as proven as this show. Since I just talk and I don't know, because usually I'm on my phone, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that,
but you're really looking it up on your phone.
I don't really know it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, that's interesting. All I could think of is that people being addicted with a computer in their pocket. I'm aware of other people that are addicted to other things with their pockets, but it's not a computer. Well, I don't want to go
What,
there.
pray tell?
I
would
don't.
that-
I don't. That's not part of our podcast.
That's
That's a different.
That's called
That's a different genre
It's called
of podcasting.
Kip After Hours.
That's Kip. Wow, I like it. We may have to do that.
I'm
Kip
not-
After
I'm
Hours.
not going to be involved in that.
I think that's Kip After Hours.
You're on
I
your
think
own.
that has potential. It
Yeah,
has potential.
I'm sure it does.
I probably wouldn't be able to go home after that, but
No.
and it would probably only be one program, and then
Yeah.
YouTube would algorithm me
Well,
out of the process.
Whenever you upload your videos, they ask you if it's made for only people older than 18. So I think you'd have to
Oh, does it say that?
check that box.
I did not know.
I think so. You have to make sure that, that it's safe for children.
Oh, okay. Well, I just let my technician, our technical staff handles all that. I don't worry about it.
Savannah.
It's
Savannah.
Savannah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of our technical staff, and we have three.
Yeah.
We have three. I'm still working on the sponsorship. It's
I know.
I got I got my hair styled. I have a great stylist last Friday.
yeah?
I go about every 3 weeks because the sign of a true gentleman is that they've gotten a haircut, but no one can tell. And my stylist is such a professional. No one can tell that I just
Yeah.
got a haircut because
Yeah.
it was just all it was just.
I need to get your guy.
Well,
Well, I guess
well,
mine.
there's another thing. He has to work with what he's got, and some people provide more material. Then there are other people who may not have quite the same amount of material, or they have material that shouldn't be shown. And but I'll share the guy's name.
Yeah. I just
What
this is
became
the only
really
place
famous?
I grow hair.
I can't grow it
It's
there.
grow and it's great. It's
You know,
great. Hey,
I don't color my hair either. I do not color my do.
nope,
I'm only my hairstylist knows for sure,
nope.
and I don't.
Yep.
I'm not going to use names because you tell me I'm not supposed to use names.
Well.
Like stupid and idiot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not supposed to use stupid and
you
idiot.
can use their names, but you just when you call someone a name, that's different than using names.
Okay, well, then in that case,
Technically.
I'm just going to say, Senator Elizabeth Warren,
Yeah.
and I'll let everyone else talk
Yeah.
about the name.
I don't even know what to call her because I don't know her. I don't know anything. She's the one that she's half Indian, right?
In her mind,
No,
in her
she
mind,
is.
I have more Indian
Nah,
in
she's
me than
half.
she does.
She might not be half. She's like
She's like 1/10,000%, and
we might all be 1/10,000.
we got to have something. I liked it when
don't think
President Trump was on his making his campaign rallies. He'd say that he called her Pocahontas, and.
That's calling names.
But I didn't do it. He did, and he said that he would always say that she got tested, and she said she had so much Indian, and the reality is she didn't have any Indian really. And he says, I have more Indian in me, and I have none.
Oh yeah.
So I thought
like
that's kind of
that.
cute. But
That is funny.
last week, Elizabeth Warren said that our economy would be boosted
You got to
if
say
we
Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren.
Senator Elizabeth
Senator.
Pocahontas Warren, that our
So-
economy would be boosted infinitesimally if we canceled student debt. And I said, that sounds pandering. So I looked some things
It
up.
is pandering.
It's
It's completely pandering.
It's
Well,
pandering.
wait a second. If you cancel student debt,
Yeah, who
what
pays
about
for it?
people that never got any debt?
Now there you go. I'm going to put on my spectacles because I want to.
You need to.
I want to highlight some things.
'Cause I
I did some research.
I got some questions because I never got student debt.
There we go. I did some figuring.
Mm-hmm.
I did some figuring, and I got some numbers, and then I did some gazentas.
I didn't get a higher education either.
Well, a gazenta is simply a two into A 2 goes into 10
Oh, good.
5 times.
Oh, okay.
A 5 goes
Like
into 20
multiplication.
4 times.
Multiplication.
Yeah.
Louisiana
Or
multiplication.
division, what it just kind of
Ah,
depends. So I did.
division.
So when I looked at
that would be backward multiplication.
that's,
I'm sorry.
no,
We're gonna
no,
get
no.
to the
You
point.
might not want to show them your mathological capacities.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got these numbers, and I said, I need to figure this out. And I started looking into some things that I bet people don't know about. So I'm going to read some things I discovered.
Okay.
It's the wrong page. No, it's this is it. This is it. I started thinking, okay, cancel student debt. I entered LSU, and I attended LSU from 1971 to 1975. And the entire 4 years that I went to LSU, the tuition every semester, believe it or not, was $160 a semester.
What?
And not
What's the inflation?
well, I'm getting ready to tell you that because that's some gazintas I started working on.
Yeah.
And my $160 tuition that didn't give
Per
it-
semester.
per semester.
Sorry.
And books. I think total books in my day might have been $50 a semester. Nowadays, I think you're lucky if you get a paperback for $50. But
Yeah.
anyway, so tuition was $160 a semester. And I said, what is the value of $160 in 1971 dollars today? And in all of my figuring out, I was able to, with inflation, determine that $160 in 1971 is the equivalent of $1,033 today.
Really?
So
With inflation.
with inflation,
What kind of numbers you got there?
a 3.8% average annual inflation rate for the year, and then you have to go up. So I said, what is LSU's tuition now?
It's probably more than $1,000.
It is. It's
Probably like 30,000.
It's for a year
Or-
for in-state students.
Uh-huh.
Just tuition alone is for a year $11,962.
11,000.
11,000.
So is that 11 semesters?
No, that's just 2 semesters, not even including summer.
So 2 semester goes into
Two
What?
semester goes into $11,962, which is about a little $5,500.
yeah.
Per semester. If I looked at mine, it was $1,033 a semester, or $160. That would be $2,066 for a year.
Okay.
So $2,066 versus $11,962.
You have a lot more. You have a lot more overhead these days.
Well, that's the problem.
Oh.
I noticed that. I said,
Sure.
I
I
said,
was trying to give them
you're trying to give what?
give them credit.
The
There's a lot
difference,
more overhead.
the increase of tuition that I paid versus what people are paying today it's a 478% increase in tuition expense for students just at LSU. And that's in-state.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay.
Out of state is higher.
Out of state's much higher.
Yeah. Because you got to give them like room and board or stuff.
Yeah.
Unless they've got
You know,
programs or. No, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
I was thinking,
raw numbers.
the raw numbers are that LSU and all the universities across the country
Yeah.
have obviously inflated their administrative staff and all the support mechanisms that they got in the system.
And you usually so you're, if you're a teacher or if you're a professor, you probably get an increase in salary every year.
Well, yeah, but see, that would be play into the
Overhead.
the inflation increase each year anyway. You would take that into account.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, wait a minute, these students that are going to school now, what's happened? And I discovered that there are 45 million individuals out there that have borrowed $1.6 trillion for total student debt. And total student debt is the second highest consumer debt category in the country. Number 1 is mortgage lending.
Oh, about
It's
that.
mortgage lending.
Yeah, but you've got a tangible asset to show for that.
But well, that's true, and that's the thing about student loan debt is
You don't have a
you don't have a
tangible,
tangible.
right?
I mean, you get something supposedly something up here that they can't take away from you,
And I've met some people that graduated college.
and you can't tell.
Sometimes
can
it's not tangible.
you? It's not. It is a definite intangible.
But I met people that didn't graduate college, and sometimes they're okay. Like,
Well, yeah, well, see, I'm going to be getting to that. I'm going to get to that.
Let's go.
The
Trade
av-
schools.
average-
Is this included?
I'm going there.
Okay.
Oh no, that does
All
not
right.
include
All right.
trade schools. This
All
is
right.
simply universities, 4-year colleges,
state universities,
and
bachelor.
and 2-year institutions.
Okay,
like
LSU,
like
medical.
Well, no, that's
even
that's a graduate program.
Oh.
I strictly was looking at undergraduate.
Because you probably get more debt going to graduate program.
Oh, you do, and that was one of the things that the largest
Yeah.
percentage of debt is for individuals that have gone into the graduate system.
Yeah.
And so the money's better.
The debt makes me sick to my stomach.
It does. Well, it should. The average student loan debt in the country is $32,700.
Okay.
The average student loan payment in the country is $393 a month.
Okay.
The states with the largest student loan debt are California, of course, $135 billion. New York has $87 billion worth of student debt. Now, this is where Senator Warren, I can see where she's getting off wanting to cancel student debt, because the states with the highest average student loan debt are all up there in the northeast corner of the country. Connecticut is number one with $38,669 average student debt.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania was 2 with $37,000. New Hampshire was 3 with $36,000. Rhode Island is number 4 with $36,000, and New Jersey was 5th with $34,000. Average student loan debt per individual. So I was thinking, yeah, let's cancel all the debt up there in the north part of the country. And what's not fair is our population is about 330 million people. And apparently close to 45 million people have some sort of student loan debt. Only 30% of the people in the country, on average, have gone to college and earned a degree. So, a third of the country has a degree. 45 million people have a loan debt. There are nearly 300, to round down a little bit, 290 million people did not go to college. They did everything that they did in their life correctly. They probably have a house, they probably have a car, maybe 2-car loans, and all the other things they're doing to support their family. And they have debt. Obviously, they have to have automobiles, they have to have a house, and all the other things that they do to live on a daily basis.
Unless they listen to Dave Ramsey.
Well, yeah.
I'll bring that up. I'm going to bring that up after we talk about
Okay,
debt.
well, that's good. That's good because
Not that I'm a huge proponent of
debt?
non-debt.
I've had debt before.
I've got debt right now, and I mean, there's some debt that you can't get away from.
Well, yeah.
But you can get away from all of it. And I've got the solution for all this.
Oh, hippie.
No, not yet. I
Not yet?
want to wait.
So my beef with Senator Warren is that I don't believe the country, which is us, the other 2/3 of the population of the country, should pay for the individuals who decided on their own to go to a particular school, to select programs that they couldn't really afford.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Please, Mr. Independent.
Because those people that you said that chose to go to school and get into debt, they probably had a lot of pressure from their parents, teachers and high school staff, because it's a perpetual thing to be in the education system.
Well, that's true. When I grew up, my mother and father always, there was no doubt. I was told,
You're
you
going
go
to
to college. You go to college, and that's the way and all of my buddies, everybody that I grew up with in school, all of our parents, we were going to college, and so that was just the path that I knew I had to take.
Yeah.
But I also I wanted to go to college,
Mm-hmm.
but I also thought about where would I like to go, and I thought about all sorts of schools I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to University of the South up in Swanee, Tennessee. I wanted to go to Washington Lee in Virginia. I was thinking of University of Hawaii over in Hawaii. I was thinking of all these great schools.
Yeah.
But as I looked into the cost of them, I realized that I couldn't afford them.
You were going to have to pay for it.
I was going to have to pay for it. And they didn't have student loans back in those days the way they have nowadays.
Yeah.
And so I selected LSU because, one, obviously it's in my backyard.
Yeah.
But it's a good university.
Oh, yeah.
I received a great education at LSU.
Well, and that's the thing that got me into trouble when I did go to college. Well, I was enrolled in college. I went to the campus a couple of times.
You walked around?
I did walk around. I wasted a lot of time, money, and gas driving there. But and that's where I signed up for the free T-shirt and got the credit card.
Oh.
And I don't believe we had signed up for financial aid because I think my parents were of the same mindset of you're going to college, and I had a brother and sister, and I don't think it worked out the way my parents thought that it was going to work out. Anyway, after my second semester, I just made my own decision that that college wasn't for me, and I didn't want to do it. And I went through this period where I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so I found something at a trade school that I could do, and it was interesting to me at the time, and so I did that. And then I figured out somewhere along the way that it's really simple. You have to be able to trade your time and energy for money or for something of value.
Something big.
And that's that's when you were telling me about the what was the party guy? Biden. What was his name? You were telling me how much he was making, and I was thinking,
Oh, Hunter?
yeah,
Hunter Biden.
damn, what kind of work is he doing to make that kind of money? Because I've never heard of anybody making that kind of money.
He's not doing anything that's legitimate.
But I have heard of people partying as much as he was,
Well,
and they weren't making.
They usually
anything
left
like-
white residue around their noses
Yeah.
in those kind of parties.
So, and you brought it up to where maybe y'all didn't have the student loans back then, and you looked at it as something like, hey, this is something that I'm going to have to pay back. I need to make sure that I do this as economical as possible. Whereas when I signed up for that free T-shirt and I saw, oh, I can just swipe this and then I can pay it back, minimum payment eventually, and then you just that that mindset of not being able to pay as you play, or what do they call that? I remember I've heard that thrown around on the news and government. Sometimes they pay as you go, and that's always like a big line of.
Yes, it is.
Be
I know where you're going on that.
Yeah.
That's Kip After Hours show.
Yeah, we'll save that for I don't have the bleeping technology. But you living within your means. That's the whole point
That's the
of
point.
all of whatever Elizabeth Warren's trying to figure out. She's not brave enough to go on camera and tell people live within your means.
That's there.
If you can't afford it, don't do it.
Yes.
If you can't go to college because your parents are not able to help you pay for college, then sit around the dinner table like the politicians say, and y'all figure out like who's spending all the money. How many cell phones do we have? All right, we're gonna have to cut those out, or we're gonna have to go back to a pay as you go phone. I mean, there's so many things. Cable, TV, that's crazy.
Oh, isn't it?
And I mean, and I've been working for a long time. I'm blessed with an ability in people and clients. So, I mean, I'm completely happy, and I'm not dogging on anybody, but you've been in my truck and
Mobile studio,
I don't
please.
know.
Mobile studio.
I don't know if I'm going to make it home today, but
I'll follow you.
It's paid for. It's paid for, and so the thing is, and I had to learn it the hard way because I got myself in so much debt that it was just one of those moments where you have to look in the mirror and say, you screwed up. You screwed up a lot, and you don't have anything. And so anything that you're looking at, or anything that I would look around at, that I didn't have that because I didn't pay for it, and I was still paying interest for that junk that I had, and it was just such a I don't know, such an eye-opening experience because I was in the situation where there was nobody coming to bail me out.
That's I guess really that's my beef about Elizabeth Warren wanting to cancel student debt, because that was a choice those individuals made. There is a choice that over 2/3 of the country decided that they were not going to go that route. They didn't need to go that route. Not everybody needs to go to college.
Yeah.
Because there are just jobs out there that could actually do much better without it.
You know what? Me and a buddy were talking, and we both didn't finish college, but now he's actually going to get his pilot's license.
So,
fly a plane.
Fly?
Yeah, and so he was saying, and this is some of the things that we've noticed. We both kind of wish we would have finished college, because if you're in a situation and someone says something and you don't quite understand it, you have to not waste time. You have to go back and look it up. A lot of times when you say words, and I'm like, I need to go look that up. I'll act like I know it just to get by. And then, but most of the time,
I know that if I use some word that you don't know, I'll see in the camera, your eyes roll, and that's when your eyes roll, I realize
he doesn't know.
I don't think he knows that word. So I've caught on.
Yeah, but I'm getting them.
Your vocabulary is just increasing exponentially.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. But in regards to the student loan,
yeah,
if you pay off the student loans of the 45 million people that have student loan debt,
mm-hmm.
then how about the other 200 million people, let's say, who have a $500 a month car note?
Yeah.
Pay that off.
Didn't we do the cash for clunkers?
I remember that, but I don't think
I never got any cash for my clunker.
I did not know one person that.
I think at the time my clunker was
got
a clunker.
I do not know one clunky that ever received anything. I think you have to have legitimate. And then they say, okay, you cancel student debt. No, you don't cancel student debt. Someone's going to have to pay for it. And that means the 330 million people in the United States they'll tag on another $1.5 trillion worth of debt to pay off the debt of 45 million people, and that's not fair.
I feel like,
and it's also regressive, because the people who have gone to college and gone on to graduate school, medical school, whatever the advanced degree might be,
mm-hmm.
their debt is probably a higher percentage than someone that just went to undergraduate school.
Mm-hmm.
So if you cancel their debt, they get a far greater benefit than the person that I hit a nerve.
Great idea.
Oh, hit me.
Me, because I didn't go to college,
Okay.
and I'm not going to be able to get my debt relinquished.
Yes.
Tax credit for the money that I could have borrowed. I should get cash.
Well, I went to school and I finished, but I never got any student debt. I worked my way through school. I worked during the summers. I worked during the school year, and
you should get like retroactive payment.
I should get.
You should.
That's right. I should receive a credit, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
I want a credit, and you know what?
For anybody that doesn't have debt, so like everybody that's got debt, you get to go to zero. Anybody that doesn't have debt, you get bumped up.
You get a credit.
20,000, or you could do like inflation. Like, so when did you go to college? So you get $400 back.
The average student loan debt is $32,000. So pay off their debt for $32,000 and give you and me a credit for $32,731, and that way
you would have to do it at the time that you went to college, and you adjust inflation. So yours probably.
Well, now there you go, trying to put a fly in my ointment. And actually, I don't like your idea. I like my idea.
That's fair. You were talking about it's not fair. Life's not fair.
What? Who invited you on this podcast anyway?
I'm trying to make things.
Isn't
fair.
this Kip After Hours? I'm supposed to be talking about something else. Well, the good thing is, I do think that you and I are in agreement that we should not pay off or cancel student debt because it's just not fair.
Yeah, I don't think it's, yeah, it's not even a fairness thing. Because life is not fair. But I don't think that you should pay off anybody's debt that they decide to go into. Because let's say you go, like you said, you go to school and you study. Let's see, what's something that people study that they can't get a job after? So, I know there's quite a few things. Not that they can't get a job.
Cultural studies.
Yeah. Well, you could study in yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know what you would do. What would you do? Most people that I know that have a degree in something, they'll tell me what it is, and then they do something that has nothing to do with their degree. And that was one of the things that kept me from going back to college. Because there are times where I feel like I sold myself short because I just didn't stay and get finished. I should have, but there were some things going on in my life where I just didn't feel like that was the most important place for me. So
Well, you didn't really know what you wanted to do with your life yet.
I still don't.
And most people are like that.
Okay.
And the realities
I don't
are
know that I'm ever going to learn or know.
I've always heard that if you do the things or do the thing that you just truly love, what makes you happy, and it may be something that it doesn't make $1 bazillion a year, but if you're doing something that you really enjoy, something that you're getting into, then you don't really have a job. You're just living a life that you're very comfortable with and that you enjoy.
That's a tricky one though, because if you're following passions, so for instance, my oldest said he wanted to be a paleontologist.
Ooh, that's good.
Unless you got to pay for rent, or
Well, that's part of the pay.
mortgage.
That's where the name comes in, paleontologist.
No,
So-
he ain't paying
Oh,
nobody.
it doesn't
for
pay
it.
anybody? Oh, well then.
No.
Well, maybe you
Which-
can do it on the side.
I feel like that's something that it's important, it's interesting, but it's one of those things where when I go back to, you have to trade your time and effort for money. With the paleontologist, in my mind, and I could be wrong, you would just be begging for grants, begging for money, or trying to find somebody wealthy to try to fund your yeah. So anyway, well, all right, we're gonna cut it up, wrap it up. All right. Well, we got a special, special report.
Well, I was thinking, bulletin.
That's our.
I didn't even know we had the bulletin factor. That is awesome.
There's going to be a tracker running across.
Bulletin. Update.
What do they call that?
What do they call it when something breaks
Happening
in?
now. Live. Breaking now.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
This is breaking news because this is Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the fact that we are very fortunate that we do celebrate Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is a holiday that's not celebrated throughout the world.
No.
No, there are probably only 10 nations in the whole world that actually recognize a Thanksgiving type of a holiday in their country.
Okay.
So this is not a worldwide celebration, and Thanksgiving is special.
We're going to spread Thanksgiving over the interwebs.
Well, we're spreading a lot of things over the internet.
You got to.
You'd be surprised what we spread.
Thank Al Gore. Sorry.
Algorithm. I think we have got no wonder we're being. It's Al Gore. He invented algorithms.
The algorithm.
Oh my goodness!
If that's true, we need a pay increase.
Oh, we talk about forgive my debt. Oh Lord, I think I'll go get student debt so I can get forgiven.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just gonna wait on credit. I'm not gonna go get into.
Well, Thanksgiving itself is a celebration. It's not a birthday recognition. It's not celebrating an anniversary or some big event that occurred in the country. It's celebrating what God has given to us as through blessing and the graces that He's given our nation. And that's the true meaning of Thanksgiving, is the recognition of what God has given us as free people, and as part of his faith congregation. So anyway, I was thinking Thanksgiving would be something that I thought the folks would like to hear some statements from individuals that served during the Revolutionary War, and some of the experiences that they had, and they created our nation even going through what they did. So let me read one thing for everybody that I thought was interesting. It's kind of sad, really. It's from the journal of this individual named John Greenwood.
Is that Lee's brother?
It's Lee Greenwood's grandfather. And he gave Lee the inspiration to write his song. And in 1775, this journal, if you hum "You're Proud to Be American" while I read this, that might be,
all right. Let's try it.
The ambiance might.
Okay.
Anyway, Johns writes this. After a while, we embarked in open boats and proceeded toward Ticonderoga. En route, the ration served out to us each day consisted of a pint of flour and a quarter-pound of pork for every man, and then we were supposed to cook this when we were allowed to land at noon each day. We were without kettles or any utensils, whatever. We couldn't make bread except on the ground, and pretty kind stuff was the preparation dignified by the latter term, which I don't know what he's talking about there. Mixed up, they'd mix all their flour and water from the lake, and it was mixed up by all the men that were there, and he describes them as lousy, itchy, and nasty as hogs. I've seen it when made, the piece of bread that he's talking about, baked upon a piece of bark, so black with dirt and smoke, I do not think a dog would eat it. But with us, it went down, lice, itch, and all, without any grumbling, while the pork was broiled on a wooden fork and the drippings caught by the beautiful flour cakes, which is simply water and flour. Such was the life of our Continental soldiers who traveled to Canada. And then, we had the fairer sex participate in the Revolutionary War too, and I thought the women of our audience would appreciate this.
Women folk.
Deborah Sampson Gannett and Anna Marie Lane fought with Washington's army dressed as male soldiers. Sampson was born in 1760 in Plimpton, Massachusetts. She enlisted in 1782 with Captain George Webb's company of the 4th Massachusetts. She passed as Robert Shirtliff. Sampson performed admirably, achieving the rank of corporal, fighting in the Battle of White Plains, and sustaining injuries twice in the service of her country. Upon discovery of her sex, she was honorably discharged and later granted a pension for her services. The Massachusetts legislature declared that the said Deborah exhibited an extraordinary instance of female heroism by discharging the duties of a faithful, gallant soldier. As compensation, the legislature awarded her $4 per month, commencing from January 1st, 1803. In 1816, the legislature then increased her pension to $6.40 per month, and then in 1819 to $8 per month.
Wow.
That was someone that needed her student loan debt canceled. And I can go on and on and on about all the different things that this would be a good one for Valley Forge, because we always understand about Valley Forge. And in Valley Forge, the men basically had no clothes. They shared pants. When someone was going on guard duty, he would take the pants from someone that was just coming off of guard duty, and they would just trade clothes back and forth as they needed to go outside. And of course, the pants that they traded weren't even really, they were shreds.
Right.
But let me read this one last moment. Connecticut soldier James Martin at Valley Forge says the Army was now not only starved but naked. That's Nekked, naked.
Naked.
Naked. The greatest part were not only shirtless and barefoot, but destitute of all other clothing, especially blankets. I procured a small piece of raw cowhide and made myself a pair of moccasins, which kept my feet, while they lasted, from the frozen ground. Although, as I remember, the hard edges so galled my ankles while on a march that it was with much difficulty and pain that I could wear them afterward. But the only alternative I had was to endure this inconvenience, or go barefoot, as hundreds of my companions had to, till they might be tracked by their blood upon the rough frozen ground. Of the 12,000 troops that entered Valley Forge in December of '77, an estimated 2,500 died of starvation, disease, malnutrition, or exposure. Most of the soldiers didn't have, you can share this with your kids when you have a Thanksgiving. Most of the soldiers didn't have shoes, and they would stand in the frozen ground. They'd try and put whatever clothing or material they could on the ground and stand on it so that their feet wouldn't be standing directly on the snow. And I've always told people that in the wintertime, when it is, and here in Louisiana, when it is the coldest day that you can think of coming this winter, step outside without any shoes or short, and to wear shorts and with no shoes, and step outside just for a little while and see how long
Just to try to see if you can
experience
what it felt like. It's just,
and I think about that every winter time, about those poor people being stuck in Valley Forge, and yet they maintained the army, and then obviously years later we would win and we become the nation that we are. And so for people that put up with things like that, I'm most thankful that they did what they did so that you and I can have this podcast and that other people can watch our podcast.
Yep.
And,
really
and
nice.
celebrate Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanks for sharing.
Did we go way over time?
No, that was a special alert from for Thanksgiving. So we'll tack that on to the end.
Whatever you do on our name or title for this episode, don't do any algorithm
I don't want Al Gore messing with us
that
anymore.
will force YouTube to.
I'm gonna say Thanksgiving canceled. Just kidding. Or
that ought to get us canceled somewhere.
it's a cancel culture.
Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Don't cancel your debt, unless the government, whatever.
We'll get a credit.
Get the credit. That's what if 290 million people start saying, okay, cancel the debt, but I want a credit, I think that there's something to be said about that. How would you like to have 290 million people in your face saying, wait a minute, this is not...
You know what? They're not going to change until that happens. Until you rage against the machine.
I watched that band on YouTube. I looked it up, and I'm sorry I did.
They're angry fellows. Angry fellows.
Anyway, that's one term.
All right.
Y'all have a great week. See y'all.